And the meeting is live. Hello, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome to the official District 40 podcast. Happy New Year, everybody, and I am going to turn it over to my next co-host.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's Althea. I hope you guys had a great holiday season and ready for what 2023 has in store. I'll turn it over to my next co-host.
Hey everyone, it's Don Schulze. Good to be with you here tonight, and I hope you're having a great year so far. And I'll turn it over to my next co-host.
Hello, everyone. I am Doris Hibbler. Yay! Happy New Year, everybody. Well, we've been doing this for a good while now, and so you guys know what's coming up next. I am going to read our mission statement of our podcast. The mission statement is to educate and entertain our listeners and viewers by providing a positive and supportive experience to help our listeners and viewers develop stronger communications and leadership skills. Just like in Toastmasters, we do the same here. Also, just like in Toastmasters, we have a word of the day. Althea, what is our word today?
Absolutely. Our word of the day is quiddity. That's Q-U-I, Q-U-I-D-D-Y. It's a noun, and it means the quality that makes a thing what it is, the essential nature of a thing, and an example of this word in a sentence. Even though the boy always lied, he actually realized that quiddity of each lie he told. So for any individual speaking today, use the word of the day and you'll hear this. Where's my applause?
Can you hear it?
Oh, the chime. Yeah, I just heard it.
Okay.
So anytime you use the word of the day, you get this little chime, or you can kind of gesture to support those who are using the word today. I'll go ahead and turn things over to Johnny.
Okay, so how's everybody doing tonight? Did everybody have a good holiday and good New Year?
Yes.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Any New Year's resolutions? Anybody got any New Year's resolutions that they want to share with us?
No.
Well, I'm to the point now where I don't do the resolutions, but I'm on this trend, you know, the trend everybody's on where you pick a word of the year.
Oh, okay. What's your
And
word of the
so
year?
my word of the year is move.
Okay.
Mood?
I'm going to be moving forward, moving. So it's move.
I like that. I like that. What kind of motivated you to pick that word?
I actually heard it in a song.
Okay.
Move now. Move now. And so I thought that's going to be my word. I'm going to be moving. So get out of my way if you're not willing to move.
I love it.
So moving is your quiddity. Is that what you're saying there, Doris?
Yes.
Yes. I love it.
Good job.
So, you know, Don is like the word of the day assassin. So our job is to have more opportunities to use the word than he does.
That's right. That's right.
I tell you, quiddity is my true essence.
There it is again.
There you go. Word of the day.
There it is again. How about you, Johnny? How was your holiday?
My holiday was great. It really was. Christmas was a whole ball of fun. Normally we go to Kentucky, but we decided to stay in Ohio for
Okay.
this year and just, I don't know, it was just fun opening up the presents. We did caroling. I like to do karaoke,
Oh,
but my
wow.
family does not want to do
Ooh.
karaoke with me. I'm up,
Hmm.
I'm pumped, I'm ready. I got me a new karaoke machine. And I put a
Nice.
playlist on my phone, and so I'm ready. And they're like, "No, Dad." My daughter's like, "No, Dad, I don't want to do karaoke." He's a
Aw.
teenager now, so I
Yeah.
guess doing karaoke isn't fun, but
Especially with
Yeah.
your parents. I mean,
I guess so.
if she had her friends, she might want to do it.
I'm
And
probably
she
sure
is the
she
only
would.
child, yeah, and so I think you do karaoke and you drink, but you can't
Oh.
15-year-old drink. So maybe that's
Well.
why.
Maybe we'll see you karaoke at the district
At
conference
the
coming up.
Oh,
Never know.
conference.
yes.
Need is a microphone and the words, and it is on.
I love it.
So karaoke is Johnny's quiddity, in my
Quiddity.
opinion.
Quiddity. Yes.
Yes.
I love it. What is that, like 4 or 5 now? My
Yeah,
goodness.
Donis.
He's beating both of us, all
I
of
know.
us.
All
I'm
of
the
us,
word of the
yeah.
day assassin,
He
right?
is the
He
word.
is. I love it.
But did anybody start off or have any New Year's traditions that they did, to kick off the new year? Anything unique or special? Okay, all right, cool.
Well, for food, we always have on New Year what's called potato dumplings and side pork. That's our
Oh.
tradition for food for New Year's Day.
I like it. I like it. I like it. And
I usually write down things that I would like to accomplish within that year. And then
Mhm.
just as the year is turning over, I go back and check off things that I got done. And I think I had a list of 12. I got 4 things done. So I'm giving myself credit.
Already, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Look at you
For-
moving through your list. I love
I
that.
know I'm moving. So
Already
I'm
in it,
giving
you've
myself
already-
credit. And then those other things, some I rolled over to this year, and then others I just said, I'm not gonna get it.
Hey, 12 goals, and you've completed a third of them 1 month into the new year. That's pretty
Well, no, those were for last year. So at the end of
Oh,
the
those
year,
are roll.
Okay.
Okay.
yeah. So at the end of the year, so at the beginning of the year, what I do is write down things that I would like to accomplish within that year. And then at the end of the year, I go back and check how many I got. So for 2022, I did 4. I had 12 things, I did 4. And so a few of those things I rolled over to this year's list. And then
Spend 'em alive.
some of them I dropped off. I thought, I'm not gonna get
I
this
like
one done.
I like it. Okay, well, at this point in our podcast, we have a guest, one of the movers and
Woohoo.
shakers with
Oh, yeah.
District 40 to provide us with some information and some leadership. And so I'm going to turn it over to Althea and let her introduce our guest.
All right. Well, thank you, Johnny. So it is my pleasure to welcome to our podcast episode this evening, DTM Ashley Rao. Ashley's been a Toastmaster since 2004. She currently is a club officer for 2 clubs that she belonged to, Gehenna and, actually, I'm sorry, there's 3 clubs. So it's Gehenna, Columbus, and Grove City Toastmasters, as well as Rise Higher Advanced Toastmasters. She was honored with the District 40 Toastmaster of the Year Award for 2022.
Nice.
And she is here this evening in her official role for this program year as the district contest chair. So we're really excited to hear from Ashley about how things are going for the contest season this year. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome to our podcast this evening, DTM, Ashley Rao.
All right. And she is coming in, and now she should be coming in. Hey, Ashley, how's it
Hello.
going?
Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
How are you?
I am doing well. How are all of you?
Great. Welcome
We
to
are
the
great.
official District 40 podcast. It's good to see you.
It's good to be seen, as they say.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
So, Ashley, I was reading through your bio and it said that you are a member of a couple clubs within our district and that you're
Yes.
actually a club officer in all of the clubs.
I am.
Okay, so tell us what roles you're currently serving as a club officer and why you decided to take on those roles.
Oh my goodness. Well, I am president of Grove City Toastmasters, which is actually where I am now. I'm seated outside their meeting, waiting to jump to the Call of Duty. Have finished my time here with you all this evening.
Wow, that's
I know.
dedication.
Commitment right
I
there.
just, when you love Toastmasters, you love Toastmasters. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
I am the secretary of Rise Higher Advanced Toastmasters, which meets on Saturday mornings.
Awesome.
I am the vice president of education of Columbus Toastmasters 959, which is a 72-year-old club now.
Wow.
Woo!
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
And the treasurer of Gahanna Toastmasters, which met last night. And
That's
why I
nice.
decided to take on those roles. Well, I think I've been an officer every year since I started being an officer. And I think it's one of those things that once you do it, you have a tendency to keep doing it.
Mhm.
I do it mainly because when I see a space that it needs somebody to step into that space in order for the club to thrive, I just want to fill that space. I want to fill that need. And I love, I started Toastmasters honestly, because there was a club that needed a member. My husband was the president at the time, and he said, we need a member. And I said, okay, I'll join. I had no idea what it really was, and I had no idea that I really needed it, but I quickly found out how much I really could learn from being a Toastmaster. And now, I don't know how many years later, 19 years later, I find that I'm in it still from what I glean, but also from what it can do for others. And I love that aspect of service and education because I'm a middle school grade. So being in an officer role, it just extends that ability to be of service to others, to people in the club, to the club itself, and to the district. So
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So what's your favorite part of a Toastmasters meeting and why?
Oh, I do like giving a speech because I love the feedback that you get. And I love I love when I can give a humorous speech, for example, and really get the laughs. That's really a great piece. But I mean, table topics, come on, is just super fun. It's the best. And I love being the table topics master because you can give other people really interesting things to talk about.
Yeah. So I'm really curious though. So what is like the most unique thing that you've done as a table topics master?
Oh, the most unique thing. I stole this from somebody else. It's not really my thing. I actually stole it from somebody in Rise Higher. It might have been Don Schulze. But we most recently went on a Toastmasters road trip in Grove City Toastmasters. And that was, we all started off somewhere in Columbus. Each person that had to add to their table topic had to add to the story. And they had to tell us where we were going next on our road trip. And, sometimes when people do this, we go all sorts of fun places like Bermuda. Well, Grove City Toastmasters somehow ended up renting a bus. We were headed for a football game in the Horseshoe because somebody had connections and we were going to hang out with cheerleaders, but that didn't work out because somebody got lost on the bus and we ended up, I don't know where, across the border in Kentucky somewhere, and it just spiraled. Somehow we took a bus to get there, but we ended up getting a limo back home. And the only bad thing was that the guy who was in charge of renting the bus never got his money back in that story. So all sorts of things happened, and it always depends on the group of people you have in a club where something is going to go like that. So it's always fun to do a continuation type story and just see where people will take.
I love that. I might have to use that in my next club meeting. Yeah. So I'll turn things over to my co-hosts to see if they have any questions for you, Ashley.
Thank you.
I do have a question. Ashley, you are the chairwoman for the district contest. What responsibilities are included in that role?
That's a good question. This year, it seems like there are a lot of responsibilities involved in that role. It's a little bit different than it has been in past years, because in past years, when we were having just our typical in-person contest at a district conference, we knew what the rules were, we knew how everything went, and the contest chair really had to make sure that they had their contest masters in place and their chief judges in place, and that all the contestants were accounted for and the lineup was good to go. Just make sure that everything was ready and prepared for the contest itself. And of course, make sure the tech people knew to set up for the video, to record those who were speaking and needed their recording sent on, things like that. This year, it took on a little bit of a life of its own, partially because for the first time ever, we're doing hybrid contests. We're doing this at the district level, which is why we decided to carry it on down through the division and area levels, so that we had a similar experience throughout our contest process. And because of that, it's exciting because it's new and we can learn something, and that's what we're about here in Toastmasters. It's the training ground, it's the learn by doing. So that's really exciting, but there are also all of these challenges that none of us have ever faced. Like, how do you set up a hybrid contest? What kind of equipment do you need? And it's not just people who are in charge of the district conference now, but people who are setting up for area contests. So we've done all sorts of things as part of the committee, and I'm fortunate to have people like you, Johnny, who are helping out with all of that too. But we've taken on the role of training people with how to set up for a hybrid contest, with writing guidance documents on how to prepare for contests that are hybrid format. With, oh my goodness, we have several trainings coming up. On tomorrow, we have a walkthrough that will allow people to attend in person and virtually to learn how to set up. We have on the 31st of January, the Toastmost tool that we're going to be using to cast electronic ballots for the first time ever. And we're going to be doing some training on that. And on February 2nd, Bill Morrow is going to be leading a training on, if you've never been a judge before, how to go through the criteria on the judges form and judge with the most fair contest possible with the criteria set out from Toastmasters International. So all of those things became a piece of it here. And I'm really learning how to step outside my comfort zone right along with everyone else. But that's great. That's what we always say, that's how you learn. So I'm learning a lot too.
I have a question for you, Ashley. So I know in prior years you were a contestant. So what do you believe is the best value that you've gotten out of being a contestant? What do you get out of it if somebody's considering to be a contestant this round? What would you say to encourage them to try to do that?
Oh my gosh, you learn so much more. I mean, if you think that you learn a lot from getting evaluation feedback in your club, that's like being in a contest is that squared or cubed or to the fourth power, because every time you go to the next level in a contest, you hone and you redo and you change that speech. Maybe not a lot, but just a little. And you start looking at what you have in your speech so closely. You look for the nuances and where the audience reaction is going to be and where to put that pause. And I've been to the district level for humorous speech and also international. And I know for humorous in particular, it's, where can I put just the slightest bit of difference in the speech that's going to change and get that laugh? Or gosh, the international speech that I did, which actually was a very interesting experience. The last contest I was in for international speech at the district level, I competed against my husband.
Because that's a fun house. So.
Yes, I love it.
That was awesome. We were both up in the hotel room practicing our speeches for each other before we were going to go on. But that one actually started as a speech that I gave to my students. And then I cut it from a 45-minute presentation down to a 5 to 7 minute speech. And then every level, it evolved and changed with the feedback that I got from club members or from people who had seen the contest and just gave me their thoughts. And it was really an entirely different speech that had the same central message, but the way that it unfolded was completely different from the way it started. And it's just it's so to see that happen. And then afterwards, people will even come up to you and tell you that your message, that it meant something to them. And whether you win or lose, that's a win, whether you win or lose the contest.
So how has Toastmasters helped you in other areas of your life? You say you're a teacher. How does it help you in your teaching, in your family life? How has it?
Well, heaven save my students, because I can't even imagine the amount of filler words I would have as a teacher if I hadn't started listening to them all the time as a Toastmaster. Every once in a while, I do catch myself using certain filler words, and stop now, because I have been in classes where I was marking how many times the teacher said certain things, and I never wanted to be that person. I have found that I have different filler words in Spanish than I have in English. That's what I teach. But I do try to catch them, and that in my professional life also, I have the opportunity of being on the building leadership team, where they let me be the timekeeper and make sure that we keep on track with lessons. And because of that, one time I even got to tell the superintendent that it was his time to stop talking because our time was almost up. And I really did delight in that just a little bit. Although I knew him well enough that I could get away with it.
Right.
But also, even in life in general, I have children, 14-year-olds, 17-year-olds, a 14 and a 17-year-old, and they'll accept everything a little bit better if you can deliver it like you do a Toastmasters evaluation with, something good, and then that morsel of feedback, and then something else good.
Yeah.
Oh, if you can. Now, I don't always remember that as a mom, but if I can remember that, my daughter is much more receptive to that. And just your skills as a listener, whether it's as a spouse or as a friend or as a parent, those things come in handy all the time. And it is harder in your personal life to remember how to say it and get to the point and things like that. But imagine if I'd never had Toastmasters at all. What more difficulty I would have.
Right. That's awesome that you actually hear the filler words in Spanish also, and you correct yourself. That's very interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I would definitely say if I was new to Toastmasters and heard you talk about Toastmasters at the level that you did this evening, it would definitely inspire me to either come to your club and visit or join right on the spot. So Ashley, we can definitely tell that your time in Toastmasters has really helped you develop as an effective communicator and a wonderful leader. So we're super happy to have you with us this evening to share your experience. And
if you ever do want to come visit, there are 4 clubs that I'm in.
I know there's 4 of them. So you said Grove City is tonight.
Yes, every second and fourth Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there was one that was yesterday. Which one was that one?
Mm-hmm. That was Gahanna.
Okay, and then when is Columbus?
Columbus is every first and third Tuesday. So any given Tuesday, you can find me at Toastmasters, and then Rise Higher on Saturday mornings.
Awesome.
And great. Saturday a month, right?
Yes, the third Saturday of the month, typically, unless we've got some special occasion that we have to move things around.
Is your husband also in many clubs, or?
He is in Gahanna with me and also Columbus. And that one is a wonderful story because we started with Columbus as coaches many years ago. And we were able to coach them back to full strength. And then they did very well for years. COVID was a little bit rough. And we almost lost that club. They were suspended. And he and I said, we're not going to let that happen again. We did it once, we can get them back again. And there was fortunately a great group of core folks who said, no, we just were waiting till we could go back in person. So we started a hybrid with them, and they are really learning a lot. This group that we're able to get back with, we're seeing so much improvement. So it's very exciting.
Good deal.
I love that. Love that comeback story.
Yeah.
Well, I got one more question for you, Ashley, before we let you go this evening. So typically we love.
After you
Oh,
finish,
you do? Well, actually, let you ask your question, Johnny. Go for it.
The only thing I was going to ask, as the chairperson for the district contest, what can the membership do to help you ensure that we have a successful contest at the district?
Great question, Johnny. I think one of the most important things that we do is to have contestants. And what clubs may not realize is that we do want to have a club contest if you have more than one person who is available. But in addition to that, if you just have one person who's possibly interested in competing, you can elect to send that person as the club without any type of contest. There's no experience necessary for a humorous speech contestant. And there, of course, is the requirement of either having a DTM or having first 2 levels of pathways completed of any path. Now, I will say, I guess that's not the only thing. If you have sent your contestants, you want to be there to cheer them on and to root for them. And of course, we are looking for people that can help us out filling roles at our contest. So I know area directors and division directors are looking for people to help out filling judges roles. And again, we're doing judges training and things like that. So if you've never done it, it's okay to jump in there and do it. Timekeepers, ballot counters, all of that. So if you are competing, yes, we need you. And if you're not competing, we would love to have you jump in at an area or division contest and volunteer your time to help us run the contest. And we can give you all the information you need on that.
Nice.
That's awesome. Well, so my final question for you this evening is, typically people always ask a Toastmaster, why did you join? And we always share about improving our communication and leadership. But I'm curious to know, what made you stay in Toastmasters every 6 months to renew? You've been there since 2004. What has inspired you to remain a Toastmaster?
I love the people in Toastmasters. Honestly, I love what Toastmasters does for other people. I love the people that I meet in Toastmasters. I'm a very much a people person. And I think there's that combination of the social aspect, but also being from an educational background. I see so much value. I mean, we say that we empower people, but we do. We truly empower people to change their lives. And when I see that happening to people, it's inspiring to me. And it's a way that I can not just teach middle school children, but have some kind of effect in ongoing education, in development of people everywhere. And that's not to say a driving force by any means. It takes a village always in Toastmasters, but I just love being a part of that. And I love seeing what it can do and watching the success stories and knowing that together we're all a part of that process.
I love that. Great answer.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us this evening. We won't keep you too much longer from your club meeting. And we're looking forward to a great contest during our conference this year. So best of luck to you and your team.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to seeing everyone at the conference, right?
Yes, we'll be there. We can't wait.
When is the conference? Tell us.
Oh, that's right. When is it?
Oh, April 14th through the 16th. So it starts with Friday night, fun night on April 14th. And we go through Sunday, international speech contest on Saturday, and humorous speech on Sunday. It's going to be a great time. It is hybrid, but I have to tell you, as a person who loves to conference, if you really want in on the action, be there, because you will never forget your first conference.
Right.
That is for sure.
Agreed.
Yes. Well, all right. Thanks, you
Ashley.
very much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, Ashley.
Nice. That's good information.
It really is.
The contest is
What a
so
great cast.
I love contest. It is my favorite.
It's like your big Super Bowl.
It is.
Are you saying it's your quiddity?
It's your
Yeah.
quiddity.
My quiddity. It is
Yeah,
my
I
it
missed
is.
my opportunity.
Ah, man.
And the fact that she's taking the lead, and what I want people to understand is there's no compensation for doing any of this, right? People
Nope.
do this because they genuinely love it. And it is a lot of hard work. Think about it at the district level. So that's helping to train people. First of all, we have a new format, right? We've never done a hybrid contest in the whole
is true.
history of Toastmasters. So one, it's new for everything. Then you're organizing, helping to organize throughout the area, all of the areas, all of the vision, then leading up to the madness that is the full weekend of the conference. So it's a
Yeah.
very ambitious project, and just having great leaders like Ashley and everybody else step up to make this event extraordinary. It's just one of the testaments to Toastmasters.
Yeah. I love what
It's a
she
fun
said.
madness, though.
What she said,
It is, yeah.
when she
Sorry.
sees a hole, she just fills it.
Fills
That is
it, yeah.
so exciting to me. I don't know why, but I just like people who say, if I see a hole, somebody needs something, I'm just right there to do it.
Just jumping in to get it done. Yes, I
Get
agree
it
with
done.
you. I think one key thing we kind of missed from the announcement of the conference is the location of the conference. It's going to be held in Cincinnati this year. Yeah, so to make people aware.
Cincy, the Queen City.
All right. So what's next on our agenda, people?
Well, Don, tell us, what are we doing next?
So next, we're going to do something fun called What We Learned. And in this segment, what we each do is talk a little bit about what we may have learned over the last week, over the last couple weeks, at least since our last podcast. And again, maybe you'll talk a little bit about what your quiddity is, maybe not. But whatever it is, I'm excited to hear what you've learned lately, and you can share with our wonderful guest here as part of our podcast. So let's start out with you, Althea. Althea,
Sure.
what have you learned lately?
All right. So, with COVID, a lot of us have had to transition into a virtual work environment. And there's a lot of lessons learned working in a virtual work environment. So I just wanted to share with everyone 7 tips for effective virtual team collaboration. And some of these things that we're already doing, which is great, but it might be a really nice reminder, or for people who are considering moving into a different career path that has a virtual presence, there's maybe some tips to consider. So the first one is to establish a communication channel, whether it's going to be using instant messenger, any video conferencing type of technology like what we're doing this evening, etc. Just make sure that you establish that so everyone is clear on what is the proper communication channel there. And then you want to encourage team engagement. So, working remotely, for those of us that do that, it can be lonely sometimes. So you want to try to find creative ways to engage your team members virtually. You can do like an icebreaker, a happy hour, or like a casual coffee chat. Those things are really helpful to make sure people are engaged with the team and feel connected. Another one is to turn on your camera. How many of you have been in a meeting on Zoom, Teams, whatever platform, and no one turns their cameras on? So for me, when I started my job almost 2 years ago, I started virtually, because I hadn't had a chance to meet anybody in person. So I was really kind of stunned to be in meetings where everyone had their camera off, and I couldn't see who was talking. I couldn't see their mannerisms or their facial expressions. But that's another way to kind of build some collaboration virtually with your team. As a manager, you also want to make sure that you're providing clear expectations so people know what to expect, as far as, for example, if you're going to be away from your desk because you're at work or you're in a meeting, that you have your status that tells them that you're away from your desk. So if someone's trying to IM you or call you, they know you're not available. And also making sure that your calendar is visible to your team. So if they're trying to coordinate meetings, they know when you're available, instead of that back and forth email chain trying to schedule that, because that can be a little annoying sometimes. The 5th tip I want to share is to invest in virtual collaboration tools. So for us as a team, we use Google Docs, and that's a great way for us to share information about the podcast. We also use a group chat, another way to share information amongst all of us. So whatever is appropriate and whatever is going to work for your team, you want to invest in those virtual collaboration tools. Make sure things are organized. You know where to find your documents. So if there's like a team folder, everyone knows where the folder is located. That could help to mitigate issues with files getting lost, deleted, or edited to a way that it cannot be, recovered back to its original state. And the last one, which I think is really, really, really important, you want to make sure that you are on top of data security for your work documents. Working from home, anything could happen, right? So you want to make sure that whatever protocols your employer or your organization has in place to safeguard documents, that you're following those to the T, and that you're also attending any annual cybersecurity trainings. So those are the 7 tips I wanted to share with you guys this evening.
Thanks, Althea.
I
Why
love-
couldn't you have told us this 3 years ago when we started this process?
I know, but you know what? It's never too late. So if we're not
Never too late.
incorporating these tips, guess what? You have an opportunity to do so. And you can also share this with your supervisor.
I laugh
That's
because
pretty cool.
there's been so many stories in the news lately about securing documents. So that's good information.
Yeah, for sure. Very important.
I also like to hear about those etiquette faux pas that happen in group type of collaboration. There's a lot of funny skits now about it as
is
well.
a lot of fun.
But we've
yeah.
learned a lot over the years. I think we really have. And
We
you've
have,
given us
absolutely.
some helpful tips there, Althea. So thanks.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
Yes. So Doris, what is your quiddity to share with us here tonight?
Yeah, mine is a communication one also, and it's regarding the reply all.
Oh.
Right. In email is one of as a matter of fact, I think it's referred to as the grandfather of technological communication, because it was kind of one of the first electronic communications that actually businesses bought into. And with that, you had a growing pains. Of course, now we have so many other ways to communicate using technology, but email is still probably the number one way that people communicate technology. And one of the things that always gets us in trouble is that pesky reply all. When should you do it? When should you not? And this came to me as a thing to share because, of course, I was on one of these emails where the email went out. It was talking about something, and a lot of people were like, take me off of this email. Am I supposed to be on here? It was just, and they replied, each time. So you end up getting like 17 mails, or, depending on the crowd that it's going to, all of these mails with people saying, I don't understand what this is about. Why am I on this email? Am I supposed to be on here? Can you please take me off this list? And they every time reply all. So there's some etiquette to replying all. The main thing about reply all is you use it sparingly.
Yes. Please help us, Doris. Please help us.
So for an example, if your team of 20 is collaborating on a document and you need an answer on a document, you would send that out to the team. Hey team, what's the answer to this question on this document? If one person knows it, they reply all and says, here's the answer. The rest of the people, no need to apply because it's already been, you don't need to. And the person receiving the answer doesn't need to reply all thanks. No, just thank the person. But the reason why you want to reply all with the answer is you don't want 15 people sending the mail with the answer. So one person replies all, and that will stop it. Hopefully will stop it unless you're absent, and then you come back and you reply all. So if it's something like who left their coffee cup in my office, just the person with the coffee cup needs to respond. No one else needs to respond. And then just respond to the person. You don't need to reply all. That was my coffee cup. Because number one, you're busting yourself out, right? And then number two, you're wasting my time because now I'm opening this mail going, what about this coffee cup? Because I get distracted very easily. And when I see coffee cup in the subject line, I'm going to open it. So you don't want to reply all. So the main key is don't use reply all unless it's absolutely necessary. Definitely not if you're telling a joke. Definitely not if you're annoyed with the email, do not reply all with your annoyed answer.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that
Because
one's the worst.
Because
What a
number one, you
pain,
never
man.
know what person is on that mail. So you don't want to reply all with something cheeky. So always just reply to one unless it's absolutely necessary. Use the reply all sparingly. And that's what I learned this week.
You hit on one of my pet peeves here, Doris.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and one of I've noticed is people will reply all to welcome somebody to a team or
Yeah.
to congratulate them, and everybody will reply all to that. And it's
Mhm.
like, do you want to reply
Right.
all so we know that you congratulate?
Right.
Just congratulate that person for coming.
Just
You don't
do
have
the
to tell everybody that.
Yes.
But the other thing is, I like to reply all to groups who have done a really good job on a project.
Definitely.
Because that way, when I reply all, I don't accidentally forget somebody who was
Exactly.
working on it. So
Definitely.
that's a good use
That
of
is a
reply
good
all.
use of reply all. Yes,
Hey, so I have
definitely.
actually one tip that I use at work. I use a blind carbon copy.
That's good
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use that. So that
I
way,
use that
number
a lot
one,
too.
yeah, that way, number one, I can conceal if I don't want to know people to know who received the email.
Who's on
But
the
then
email?
also too, the reply all is gone away. They reply to me only.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's another tip: is if you ever get on those chains, there's some options in various different email
Use it.
tools where you can opt out of that streak.
Mhm.
So instead of replying
Oh.
and say, take me off of this
Take me
email,
off of this.
go
Yes.
back and say, opt me out of this email string, and you won't get any more, even if people do it.
Notifications.
Oh,
Absolutely.
now
I love
I
that.
didn't learn. I learned
Yep,
something
yep.
new today. That's
Yeah.
We've had some
good.
terrible ones at my work. and
Yes.
I've learned that very quickly.
Years
Yeah.
and years ago, when I was working in the department, somebody important sent out an email that they probably shouldn't have sent out. And they sent it out to about 2,000 people.
Uh-oh.
All 2,000 people seemed that they were hitting reply all saying, take me off this
Take me
email
off
thread.
of this.
So people's email was just flooded with just simple requests, take it off. It got so bad that it reached somebody else important, and they had to put on like our intercompany website,
Yeah.
don't hit reply all to this message, because people's inboxes were just getting flooded.
They
with
put them in
Yeah.
mail
Oh,
jail.
email-
It'll put you in
email-
mail
It will.
jail.
Mail jail. I love that.
Mail jail.
And it's like, oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
It's the
Mail
word.
jail.
Well,
So-
you sure hit a nerve with us
Yeah,
here,
You
Doris. This was a
did.
good
You
one.
did.
Okay, podcast listeners, use that reply all sparingly.
Hey, put in the chat how you've had an experience with reply all. I love to hear you in chat.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
So, Johnny, what about you? What have you learned lately?
Okay. Well, as Ashley alluded to, we are firmly in contest season.
Woo!
Some people have already had their club contest, and some people are preparing for them. And some have already won, and they're preparing to go on to the next round at the area level. And as Ashley also said, that from one level, what helped you to succeed at the club won't necessarily get you success at the area level, and so on and so on. You've got to refine and sharpen those skills. I was listening to a podcast. It is Unforgettable Presentations by former world champions of public speaking, Darren LaCour and Mark Brown. And the topic that they were talking about was narration versus dialogue. So narration is when you are just describing or something. You are reporting on something. And Darren and Mark both alluded to that instead of always narrating a scene, use dialogue to describe the scene. Instead of saying, oh, I was really angry, show what you did to demonstrate or provide an example that you were angry. Or I was really happy, show what you said or did. So I have a couple of examples. For example, narration versus dialogue. In a sentence or paragraph, it says, I recall the date as if it was yesterday because the day was Thanksgiving of 2008. My wife and I went to my parents' house for Thanksgiving dinner. Before dinner was served, I called my mother and father into the living room, and I told them Nicole and I are having a baby. My mother was super excited. She couldn't control herself. The room grew silent, and I saw a single tear drop down my mother's eye. She ran to Nicole quickly and hugged both of us tightly. I looked at my father, and I could see the happiness on his face. That's a good story, but perhaps if we added some dialogue, we could make it even a little stronger. For
Tell us about it.
we say, I recall the date as if it was yesterday because the day was Thanksgiving of 2008. My wife and I went to my parents' house for Thanksgiving dinner. Before dinner was served, I called my mother and father into the living room. I turned to both of them and I said, "Congratulations, Mom. You are going to be a nana. Nicole and I are having a baby." The room grew silent. A single tear dropped down my mother's eye. She ran over to Nicole quickly and said between her eyes filled with tears, "My baby is having a baby. I can't believe it. I am going to be a nana." She hugged us both tightly. My father's booming voice exploded by saying, "Congratulations, Dad. I can't wait to be a pop. Do you see the difference? The dialogue did not just report the scene, it put you right in the scene as if you were living there. It evoked emotion because
Sure
maybe
did.
your grandmother calls herself Nana or Pop, or the excitement of telling your parents that you're having a baby. You didn't have to say you were excited. You didn't have to say you were excited. Just the words you use and the tone and things like that helped you to make a better connection with your audience. So, for all my contest winners out there, and even my speakers who are not in contest, when you are creating a story, creating a speech, consider using dialogue to accompany your narration, not just your narration alone. Dialogue adds that little bit of to help you make a stronger connection. So, Don, that's what I learned today. How to
That's
implement
great.
dialogue
Nice.
in the stories as well as with narration.
I love dialogue too, because you can actually hear the person's emotions a lot more with that. And you can use vocal variety. I agree with you. It's great. Great example of what you can do to really add that oomph to your speech. Thanks, Johnny. So let me share with you what I learned this week. And one of the things that our work does is we do have a little work seminars where each of our leaders talk a little bit about a leadership competency. And one of the most mysterious phenomenons that I think is one of our leadership competencies that nobody ever wants to talk about because nobody ever understands is that weird concept of political savvy. How many of you know what that is? And it's not about politics. It's not Democrat, Republican, or whatever. It's really a very interesting concept that if you put it into play, you really can advance in your career a lot faster. And what is political savvy? It's the ability to exhibit confidence and professional diplomacy while also relating to people at all levels of your organization, as well as internally and also external to your organization. That's what political savvy is. And what I talked about in my seminar here is that there really are 4 different techniques and behaviors that if you exhibit these, you can build your political savvy muscle. Okay, are you with me? Who wants to build their political savvy muscle? Maybe this is a quiddity you already have, but if not, we're going to build this quiddity for you.
Oh, there it is
First
again.
thing, there you go. The first thing is making sure that you have a good understanding of the interrelationships and the roles and responsibilities of your organization. Because if you really have a good understanding of all those different parts of the organization, but more importantly, how people work together to get things done, you can navigate that system a lot better and you can insert yourself into that success story. So that's the first thing. The second thing is developing and maintaining professional relationships. And to me, that's the key of getting things done at work or in your organization or nonprofit or even in your personal life. It's that connections, it's the relationships that you build and maintain that really builds your political savvy muscle. And again, in my opinion, that's how you get things done, is relying on other people and building on those relationships. The third thing that you can do is to really understand those cultural norms in your organization or those unwritten rules. And you know what they are, but nobody ever talks about it or necessarily writes it down or shares it. But you really have to figure out what are those unwritten rules and norms at every level of your organization. If you can figure that out by talking to other leaders or trying to go ahead and maybe shadow other leaders, attend their meetings, you can pretty quickly learn what are some of those unwritten rules at your work. And then the fourth thing is to understand when issues should be elevated to higher authorities, but also how do you effectively alert them that a problem is happening? Again, I always have a motto: bad news doesn't get better with time. It's a real skill to elevate effectively, and that's part of being politically savvy. Now, and part of all of this is the key is to understand your emotional intelligence quotient. Your EIQ is really key to all of this because it's knowing how you react, how you interact with people is really your success as being political savvy. So again, now you can build your political savvy muscle at work or in your organization.
I love that.
What do you guys think about that?
Yes, and I always find, you mentioned leaders, but I always find that there's somebody in a department, an organization, they might not be quote unquote the leader, but they are kind of the gatekeepers for how things are ran in that area. And they're the ones you kind of want to link in with to figure out how things are going.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And if you know who those are and what help they need to be successful, you can do a technique called managing up. If you manage up, success is laid right in front of you.
I love that.
I think that's good information because I am working on the path emotional intelligence. So I am figuring out my emotional intelligence. So that's good information to have about being political savvy.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it. That ends this session. I'll turn it back over to you, Johnny, for our next.
All right. Well, our next segment is called News That You Can Use. And in this segment, we are going to talk about skills in communication or leadership or just personal development. Information that is transpiring around the district or just around the world that's going to help make us better communicators and leaders. So, Ms. Doris, let's start with you. Tell us, what is some news that the people can use?
All right, news they can use. My news, as you guys know, I love the Toastmaster International magazine. It is a plethora of information about Toastmasters and leadership and communication. Well, in this month's magazine, for women, this is the 50th year that women were allowed to be members in Toastmasters. So we're celebrating a milestone in Toastmasters. I don't know if you guys knew the history, but prior to 1973, women were only allowed to be either honorary members or they had clubs that they called Toast Mistresses clubs, where it was the wives or the sweethearts of Toastmaster members that they had these set aside clubs, but they weren't really associated with Toastmasters International. So in 1970, a woman called Helen Blanchard was encouraged because she would attend Toastmasters meetings and she was great at being a Toastmaster and speaking and leadership, that the members of that club encouraged her to put in her application. This is 1970, but she couldn't put it in as Helen Blanchard. She had to put it in as Homer Blanchard in order to gain the membership. So in 1973, then she became legit. That was all. So I wonder, all that work she did as Homer, did she get the credit for it? I don't know. It didn't. The article didn't say that, but that was interesting to me. So kudos to the women, because in 1973, women were allowed to be members. And guess what? Toastmasters International's membership exploded.
I'm sure it
and
did.
it became the wonderful, exciting
I mean, they
uh
women are what
organization
8%
that
of the
it is
population.
today. Before, it was just a small, tiny little blip, and now, you know,
I mean,
I can't
400,000
imagine
people.
Toastmasters
Yeah.
any other way. I really can't.
those meetings must have been horrible.
With just the men.
It was
Just
just
a
the
bunch of
men.
men, just men, like just coming to the meeting. I don't know.
So I
I just
thought
imagine
that
like a
was
locker room, man.
right.
Like, like it stinks in the meetings. And
Oh goodness.
just,
Cigars,
Yeah,
It
cigar
was more
smoke.
like
I
a
don't care how they're
locker
presenting
room
themselves. They just coming
atmosphere.
in. They leave the gym and just come straight to the meeting, and it's just like
That's so funny.
So the women
I-
brought the decorum in the organization.
Oh
Yeah.
God! It sounds, thank you. Is it Helen? Is it Helen?
Helen
Black. And then
Thank you,
in
Helen. Woo.
1985, she became the first woman international president of Toastmasters. So we've come a long way, and I just think that history is so interesting, because this is in my lifetime. It's not like this happened in 1920 or something. So I think that's
Right.
very interesting.
Know people who were alive then.
Yeah.
Let me tell you,
was
Doris, I
very
appreciate you
interesting.
sharing that story, because I didn't know this story at all. And I don't know that a lot of members are aware of that, our history in that way. So thank you for sharing that, because I had no idea.
Oh yeah. So that magazine is just a plethora of information. Another thing, and I think this is a great idea. There was an article in there that it started with two women. They have what is called the Toast Magazine Book Club. And what they do is they meet once a month. The magazine comes out once a month, of course. So every time the magazine comes out, they do a set date, they meet, and they read aloud an article in the magazine, and then they discuss it, how that can help them in their lives, or what they got out of that article. This also helps. I think that's great. I love to read aloud, because I think it helps you with pronunciation. It helps you with learning new words. So there's listening. So I think you get so much education in reading out loud. And I thought that was a great idea. So if you're thinking about doing a book club, but you say, I don't have time to read a 200-page book or a 400-page book, the Toastmasters magazine is only about 30 pages. So you can start out doing a Toastmasters magazine book club. And what they do at the beginning of each meeting is they actually toast to the Toastmaster magazine and Toastmasters International, all the things that is taught them. So those were two. There was a lot of other articles in there, but those were two that I thought were very good for sharing, and some news that I think the people can use. Back to you, Johnny.
Hey, Doris, if you start one of those
Doris.
clubs in District 40, I'll join with you.
Oh,
You
there
will.
you go.
I might start it. I thought
would.
it was a great idea. I love it. They also have other speakers, guest speakers come in and read articles and then tell their point of view. They sometimes try to get the person that actually wrote the article. So I just think it's very,
That's fun.
very, fun, and things you can learn.
They're neat to have specialty clubs. I've heard a lot of other districts have specialty clubs as well.
Yes.
Several that were really cool. Okay, Don, tell us what's some news that the people can use.
Well, we alluded to this earlier, but I want to talk a little bit more about what's coming up at the district conference. Are you guys excited? I know you're excited. I can tell
Very
you're excited.
much.
I'm excited.
Very excited.
Just a couple things to repeat. April 14th through 16th in Cincinnati. It is at the Holiday Inn Eastgate. I want to give you all a URL for where you're going to be able to very soon register for the conference. It's D40 Toastmasters Conference.org. And if one of you can put it in the chat, put it in the chat. I'll welcome you to do that. But again, that's the website that's going to be coming out soon. We're going to have open registration very soon. My understanding, the fee is $125 and includes all the meals, which is a great deal.
Great.
I'll talk to you a bit about we're doing corporate sponsors so we can reduce the cost for everybody. And there's a lot of opportunities if you know of a company who's willing to donate, that this is the time where we're opening it up. And I'm excited to announce we have 3 or 4 companies giving some really hefty donations. And I'm excited about that. But that's not all.
Ooh,
Here's something else that
There's
we're going to
more.
offer. There's more. I'm excited that we're going to do something called $10 shout outs in the district program. So whether your club wants to do a congratulation note or a shout out to a member who's done something great, if you want to wish your upcoming contestant the best of luck, if you want to tell something funny about another Toastmaster that's not too embarrassing, anything you want to for $10, we will publish it in the district program. And again, I say anything that we have to keep it very PC, obviously. But again, that's going to be something new and fun. We're also going to offer tables at the conference. So maybe you're a Toastmaster and on the side, you also do mentoring or coaching, or maybe you are a author and you're selling some books, etc., about leadership. We're going to offer tables. It's $50 for 1 table or $75 for 2 tables. And again, that information is going to be coming out soon, and we're looking forward to having that. But that's not all. We're also doing a club or individual basket, silent auction basket. So again, we've had these at previous conferences where maybe you have a regional food item that you want to put into the basket. Maybe your city is known for a sports team or some type of attraction. You can get some tickets really cheap. You put them into this basket. Maybe you want to give some your favorite leadership books. But as a club, you can do this, or as an individual, you can go ahead and put together a basket. And we're going to do a silent auction on Saturday. I'm so excited. There are so many things happening within the district. The Friday night fun night is going to have a picture booth. We're going to have that. We're going to have music. We're going to have board games. It's just going to be lots of fun, folks. We are going to showcase the D40 podcast, the folks here, before the conference starts on Friday night. And we're really excited about that also. So you don't want to miss this upcoming conference. It's going to be a family reunion theme. Can't wait to see all of you in person or virtually at our upcoming conference. But that's what I have to share there, Johnny.
That's great news.
That is
awesome. Out there, ma'am, can you tell us what news do you have that the people can use?
absolutely. Well, along the same vein with the conference, the district's looking for leaders. So who's out there that wants to step up and represent our district as a top 8 member? So individuals have the opportunity to apply for our top leadership positions, and those include our district director, which Don has served in that role a few years ago, our program quality director, club growth director, and then we're also looking for division directors to manage the divisions within our district. So for anyone who is interested in pursuing any of these roles, you can submit your application and nomination form to the district leadership chair, who is DTM David Hill. He was our previous district director, and his contact email is toastmasterdavid outlook.com. I'll be sure to put that in the chat as well. Nominations will close January 31st. So that's next Tuesday, a week from today. So if you would like to nominate yourself, or if you'd like to recommend a colleague, a fellow Toastmaster that you feel would be ideal for these positions, feel free to submit the nominations to David Hill at toastmasterdavid@outlook.com by January 31. That's all that I have.
Nice.
Althea,
Good
so
information.
after the nomination process is
Mm-hmm.
complete, how does one ascend to the level of being in one of those positions?
Absolutely. So what happens after that is you will be meeting with members from the district leadership committee that they're going to interview you before going to the conference. So they'll just, touch base with you to ask you about your interest in the position. And then during our district conference in April, you will have an opportunity to be interviewed live in front of your fellow Toastmaster members. And then they will have the opportunity to vote for whom they would like to assume those roles in the new program year. So you have an opportunity to provide an opening speech or a closing speech. You'll have an opportunity to answer questions, and then have your fellow Toastmasters vote for who they'd like to serve in the roles for the upcoming year. So I had an opportunity to be a division director a couple of years ago, and it was an exciting opportunity for me to be able to present my vision for the division that I was running for. It was a great opportunity. I learned a lot in that role. I learned a lot through that experience and grew to be a stronger communicator and leader. So I encourage anyone who has the heart for leadership, the heart for servitude, to really explore this opportunity. And I know it's not a paid position, but the payment that you receive comes in the form of the experience that you'll get in this role, from collaborating with individuals, from making lifelong friendships. So great opportunity again to get involved in the district. So I encourage anyone who's interested to pursue that.
And just one more question.
Nice.
Who can vote for one of the positions?
That's a great question. So individuals that can vote are people who are part of the district executive council. That would be the district director, program quality director, club growth, the division directors, area directors, also members of the top 8. So your public relations manager, logistics, admin officer, and club presidents, and I believe vice presidents of education. I think I got them all.
Good job.
Thank you. Woo! Yes.
That's a lot of good information.
It's a lot. It is. Absolutely. So we're really excited to see the new leaders that are going to rise up from our district. And, we're looking forward to have an opportunity to meet them during the spring conference.
Awesome. Okay. So I've got just a few items for news you can use on January the 25th, and that is tomorrow. There is going to be a walkthrough held. And what a walkthrough being held is, as we've talked about a little bit earlier, this is the first year that we are going to have hybrid contests. And our area contests and our division contests, and then our district contests are all required to be hybrid. The district is conducting a training session of sorts to help people learn how to conduct hybrid meetings. There are going to be people in Columbus at the Whitehall Library, and then there are also going to be people in, I think it is Cincinnati, at the Midpoint Library. You can also sign up to observe virtually. So you can sign up virtually or in person to get a walkthrough on the equipment, the logistics of how to conduct a hybrid meeting. And I will enclose the registration links in the chat, and also the registration links can be found on the District 40 website page. So go out there if you're interested in learning how to perform a hybrid contest. Sign up for it. It is tomorrow, and it begins at 5:45 to get a walkthrough on how to conduct a hybrid meeting.
Let's hope the Snowmageddon doesn't take over the in-person.
I know.
I was just thinking about that too.
Snowmageddon.
I love the fact that the district is being very intentional about the planning, the careful planning for this conference and the walkthroughs. I'm really, they're doing a really good job of building the momentum for this conference. I'm really excited. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited.
They've done a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, on January the 31st, there's going to be a training session on the Toastmost contest tool. What the contest tool is, so when you are a judge, you have a Georgia's ballot. The Toast tool, it is an electronic version of the ballot. It is also an electronic version of the timer form. It's an electronic version of the ballot, yes. And so what District 40 again is doing, we're using this tool at our district, division, and area contest. And we understand that it is new, so District 40 is going to conduct a training session on how to use it. And this tool, it is available. It can be downloaded to your phone or your PC, whatever. So it makes it really easy, or it makes it more efficient for ballot counters to collect the judges' ballots and also submit your timing forms to your chief judge. And also, the last one of the term, there's going to be a TLI January the 28th. So all you officers that haven't had an opportunity yet to attend TLI, or if you've attended a TLI and you want to enhance your skills from what you've learned at previous TLIs, there's going to be one on Saturday, January the 28th. Of course, there is additional information. Please visit the District 40 webpage for more information. Wow, guys, I think we talked about some great events that are transpiring within the district that can really help people. So it's really strong with the news that you can use. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Doris. Doris.
Yes.
What are we doing next, man?
So next is our evaluation portion, but I would like to do the evaluations a little bit differently than we normally do. And there's a short backstory. I'll tell you guys the short version. There's a long version, but I'll tell you the short version. So I bumped into a former member of Toastmasters, and she said the reason why she's a former member, because I asked, why a former member? Because if you get everything you want to get out of Toastmasters, you'll never get out of Toastmasters. And she said, there's two aspects of Toastmasters that really intimidated me, and I just couldn't do it, and I quit. And one of those was evaluations, because she felt like she just couldn't do it. I can't give the feedback. And so anyway, after that conversation, I thought maybe the reason why she had a hard time with evaluations is because if you're new, it seems so overwhelming. I got to evaluate this person on their body language, their speech, there's so many things, and it seems so overwhelming. So what if we broke those pieces into smaller pieces? And what I mean by that is, what if we just focused on what you hear? Because I think really an evaluation is just what you hear, what you see, and how that thing made you feel. That is what I think the evaluation is, and that's what you should evaluate on. And so what if we broke it down first off in just what you hear? And in doing that, you can evaluate things like vocal variety, the pitch, the speed, pausing. So there's so many things in just what you're hearing. And so I thought, great idea. I'm just going to give you guys a speech that you can hear and not see, because I want you to evaluate what you hear. And I'll give you the second one, how this made you feel. So I'm going to share here.
I'm going to close my eyes for the full effect then.
Yes. Close your eyes for the full effect. Oh, here.
If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. To pass SEAL training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the waters off San Clemente. They assure you, however, that no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not that they can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark begins to circle your position, stand your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid. And if the shark, hungry for a midnight snack, darts towards you, then summons up all your strength and punch him in the snout, and he will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. The 9th week of training is referred to as Hell Week. It is 6 days of no sleep, constant physical and mental harassment, and 1 special day at the Mud Flats. The Mud Flats are an area between San Diego and Tijuana where the water runs off and creates the Tijuana Sloughs, a swampy patch of terrain where the mud will engulf you. It is on Wednesday of Hell Week that you paddle down to the Mud Flats and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive this freezing cold, the howling wind, and the incessant pressure to quit from the instructors. As the sun began to set that Wednesday evening, my training class, having committed some egregious infraction of the rules, was ordered into the mud. The mud consumed each man till there was nothing visible but our heads. The instructors told us we could leave the mud if only 5 men would quit. Only 5 men, just 5 men, and we could get out of the oppressive cold. Looking around the mud flat, it was apparent that some students were about to give up. It was still over 8 hours till the sun came up. 8 more hours of bone-chilling cold. The chattering teeth and the shivering moans of the trainees were so loud, it was hard to hear anything. And then one voice began to echo through the night. One voice raised in song. The song was terribly out of tune, but sung with great enthusiasm. One voice became 2, and 2 became 3, and before long, everyone in the class was singing. The instructors threatened us with more time in the mud if we kept up the singing, but the singing persisted, and somehow the mud seemed a little warmer, and the wind a little tamer, and the dawn not so far away. If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person, a Washington, a Lincoln, King, Mandela, and even a young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope. So if you want to change the world, Start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never ever give up. If you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better.
All right. What did you guys think? Just listening.
I don't know anything bad to say.
Yeah, I'm having a challenge.
It was great,
So-
right?
It was great. I love the analogies, and it really forced you, at least me, it forced me to really visualize what he was describing. So I think it kind of ties into, Johnny, what you were mentioning earlier about some things that you learned. So he was kind of using that dialogue, if you will, of explaining, what to do when you're surrounded by a shark. So I had to kind of visualize someone in the water, sharks coming toward them, and them hitting the shark in the nose. I love the fact that he inserted some humor, because to me, like his speech seemed very direct. So when he had opportunities to insert some humor, I appreciated that. But like, I really don't have anything, like any points to offer him as far as growth. I thought it was great. I thought it was very inspirational.
So like,
Yeah,
I
very
leave here, I'm going to
inspirational.
do like 50 push-ups because now I'm all motivated and pumped up, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought he had great pitch and pace and great pausing. I thought he speeded up, he slowed down. So I thought that part was great. If I had to offer him something, he did do the smacking. I could hear that just so clear, because when you're listening, just listening and not watching, I heard that. I probably would not have heard that if I was watching him, but because we were just listening, I heard, the lip smacking, which can be annoying if it's constant, but I thought he did a great job. His vocal variety also, I thought it might have been a little bit more, but I really liked it because of the pausing. I thought the pausing just made that so much more inspirational. And so you don't really even think about the vocal variety, because I just think he's an admiral. He's an admiral. And so, they have to have that tone. So those were things that I would offer, but I did think it was, I got goosebumps. I love that.
I did too. It made me emotional at the very end. I love the crescendo at the end. How he wrapped it up. That was very powerful. Now the music didn't hurt anything.
The music,
the
music was
yeah. I mean, wave that flag. I felt it. I felt it the whole time. I agree with you about the pausing, but I wanted a little bit more pausing in those impactful areas. There were a couple of times I was like, oh, you could have paused just a little bit more, and it would have been wow. Especially in some of his punchlines or some of his aha moments that he was giving us. The other thing, just a little weird, and I'm sorry, one of my qualities is always finding something to improve, but that's just me, is his conclusion. I was really emotional. I got into it, but I felt like he wasn't referencing everything he talked about, or he was referencing different things almost. Like I was expecting him to say, punch that shark in the nostrils or whatever it was, but he didn't. He said it in a different way, which again may be effective, but again, I was a little bit not following all the references at the very conclusion, but frankly, I didn't care at that point.
Yeah,
I was so motivated. That was just a little thing that I'm finding about.
That was kind of interesting that you said that at the conclusion. What I thought would have been even more powerful than it was if he would have went back to, so if you want to be great, make your bed. I would have like,
yeah. Yeah.
This that bookend, I think, to me would have wrapped that up really well.
Yeah. It was great though. I
Because I
love
got to think, well, I didn't make my bed today either, so I
Right.
can feel the whole day.
Well, I never make mine, so I feel good.
You
But
said
you're
My wife is
still
always
great
on me on that
despite.
too. Make your bed.
I know.
Any of
It's
you
your
so
side of the bed.
simple.
any of you all feel the music was too long? Like maybe it didn't start with the music, and then we get more build up as the story starts to go along.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like just
Yeah.
maybe, because
So like the music
like,
kind of crescendos with him.
right as he's building it up. So it's real simple. Make your bed, like
Mhm.
whatever. And then
Yeah.
as you go along, it's like, but you don't succeed at the little. How can you expect to succeed at the big things if you don't conquer the little things?
Mhm.
We gotta like, and then so as we're getting into it, like a Rocky fight, like the Rocky
Yeah.
fight,
Yeah.
Mhm.
crap beat out of him, and you can hear it. But
Yeah.
then as he starts to come, it's like dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun.
Right,
And then by the
right.
time he knocks the guy out, maybe
The
had the music crescendo, but I don't know if he even put the
Gotcha.
music on there. But maybe that was a
Yeah.
production.
yeah, that probably wasn't.
Could have just
Mhm.
But how about you guys? Did you want to know what song that they sang at the end? Because he didn't say the name of the song or what it was. But
Oh,
I was
right.
dying of curiosity. What was that song? Was it Mary Had a Little Lamb?
That they
Who
all
knows?
just start singing. Well, I think
Yeah.
the point was
Within
just
the
that
month.
they stuck together
They
and they
did it.
all
Yeah,
were-
that's the point.
they were all doing it. So that's
I was
yeah.
curious.
You're right.
I get
you have
curious about
comments
things
in
like
the
that.
chat. Deborah Ham said, I would recommend that if he were to do the speech again, it would have enhanced the speech if he would have sang the song.
Oh,
Yeah,
look
that's
at
what I was kinda thinking.
that. Yeah, Don.
Yeah.
You're and Deborah on the same page.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. I was thinking the same
Look
thing.
at
Something to
that.
resonate a little bit more even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
But even more effective if he was off tune. That's what he heard.
Yes.
So what did you
absolutely.
guys think of this exercise? Is this was this good? Will this help
I
you if you
liked
just
it.
did one
Mhm.
piece of the evaluation and then
I love that.
put them all
I love
together at the
that.
end of the
You know what would be cool is if in the club or in this session, each of the parts of the speech, a different person did the evaluation. So again, like you know, if this was a four
yes.
evaluator club, Althea would do what she heard.
Yes.
I would say what I saw. Johnny would say what he felt. And
Right.
maybe
Yeah, I like
you
that.
would say about the overall message.
Great. That's a
I
good
love,
idea.
I love the concept, Doris. That was
I
neat.
love
Good
that.
idea.
I'm really curious, Doris, to see what you come up with next month because I immediately thought, okay, we're going to just listen to the speech. And I'm thinking, how can one evaluate like a silent movie?
Mhm.
Oh,
There
see
you
now.
go.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
by what you see, you
By
have
what
to
you see,
evaluate
yeah.
by what you see,
Yeah.
which
yeah,
would
yeah.
be then your body language, your gesturing,
Mhm,
because your
mhm.
body is so
Looks
powerful.
great.
It's like your voice.
Facial
It's
expression. Yeah.
very,
I love it.
facial
I'm going to
expressions.
try this in a meeting. I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try
Yeah.
to come up with something with no speech. There you go.
Yes. A silent movie.
Ooh,
All right, Johnny, what are we doing next?
we've done it, guys.
This is it.
Another one in the
Another
book.
one.
Yeah, another
Woohoo.
one. So yeah, so our next scheduled podcast is February the 21st. So the 14th is Valentine's Day. You spend all your money on your significant other. So you're broke, right? And then the next week
You
can
might
spend
as
it
well
with us
come
at
on.
home because you don't have any money. So
Right. Can you believe it's
Wow.
February already?
Already.
It's crazy.
Already.
It is crazy how
Wow.
time flies.
Flying.
Cool. So Don, you got anything to say before we head out?
Well, I tell you, being in Toastmasters is my quiddity for sure. And I love spending time with all of you. You guys make this a lot of fun. And again, I hope you all have a great rest of your week. And I hope everybody in the cyber world also gives us some feedback on what we can do to improve because we're all
Yeah.
about improvement here.
I
So
love
again,
that.
have a great week, everybody, and rest of your month.
Althea, you got anything to say before we head out, man?
No, I echo Don's sentiments. It's really great to be with you guys. I always learn something new every episode. So I'm just looking forward to our continued growth as a podcast and also looking forward to the district conference coming up in a couple of months. So with that, I wish you guys a great rest of your evening and a wonderful month. And we'll see you next month.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Chris, do you have anything before we head out, man?
Yeah, Althea, I like what you said when you said you learn something every month also.
I
And I
do.
was thinking the same thing. It is good. So not only do the folks get news they can use, but we also get news that we
do.
can use
We
that there's
do.
something new is said that we didn't know either. So I think that's great. I just ask for continued listenership. Tell all your friends, and then come on right back here next month to hear more news.
And I want to echo Doris's sentiments. Please share us with your clubs. Circulate. We're on YouTube. Everybody has YouTube. I know Facebook, not everybody had it, but everybody has YouTube.
Everybody,
No excuses.
everybody.
Yeah, it's
That's
no
right.
excuses now. That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. We heard some people
Yes.
say, "Oh, I'm not on social media. I don't do this." You do YouTube for
Everybody got
something.
YouTube.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah.
Yes. What other
Universal.
platforms
There
are
you
we on, Johnny?
it's just YouTube right now. It's just
Just
YouTube.
YouTube.
That was
Mhm.
just YouTube. So we are youtube.com/@District40. So feel free to share us with your clubs and with your family and friends as well. This has been great. I had a great time. So everybody join us next month. And be prepared. Contest season is in full effect. I would
Yes.
encourage everybody, go to as many contests as you can, because
Mhm.
you are going to hear extraordinary speakers. And I always like looking at people from either the club or the area, and by the time that they make it to the district,
See
how
that
that
progression.
speech has changed and got
Transformation.
so much better. I recall being in a club with a person, and they won only because we didn't have anybody else competing. And honestly, I didn't think it was that good a speech because I thought nobody competed against them. By the time they had made it to the district, it had become a full metamorphosis. And it
Mm.
just inspired me and blew my socks off. And I was just like, wow, I
That's
love
awesome.
what you did. So, all right, everybody. We will talk to you all later.
Bye,
Have a good
everybody.
night.
Bye.
Have a good night. Take care.